Hey everyone, welcome to my video to get you introduced and started on the VEX EXP coding program. In this video, I want to take a couple minutes to show you how to open up the template that I provided and get started with some of the commands on the program. I'm going to show you how to set up all the motors and use the commands to actually program the robot. I'm going to show you how to change values in case you need to change distances or units of measurement, and really edit anything that you're going to need to. And then lastly, I'm going to show you how to connect to this robot, download your program, and test it out on the playground. So I'm going to flip over to some screen sharing, but feel free to follow along, pause the video, go back, and ask me any questions that you may have. So let's get started. All right, the first thing I have open here is our instruction page for the challenge. This first coding challenge is called Distance Drive Challenge. And this is going to be showing us how to program the robot to drive forward. Okay, as you can see in the first level, turn around in the second level, and then in the third level, that is where we kind of put it all together. For all these challenges, I only need to see you complete the final level. The first two are usually some practice, teaching you new commands, giving you some extra tips, practice with the commands before you actually do the final challenge. Also, on every instructional page, there is this helpful hints. These really give you some key things you need to know for each challenge, like the commands that you might want to use, explaining what the commands do, or giving you measurements for actually driving around on the robot playground. And the other thing we're going to want to have opened up is that VEX EXP link that I shared on Google Classroom. Or if you want to look it up, it's up at the top of my screen, codeexp.vex.com. What this is the actual coding program that has all of our commands on the left side, as well as allowing us to write and then download a program to the robot. So first, what you're going to want to do, I already have it open, but I'm going to open it again, is open up the EXP template that I shared with you on Google Classroom. Okay, you can do that by in the top left hitting File, Load from your device, as long as you've already downloaded it. I'm going to go to your downloads, and then you're just going to see EXP template, and you can open that up. And it will load right into the program for you. And what this template has done is set up all of our motors. Okay, our VEX EXP Clawbot has 4 motors on it, and they each need to be programmed separately so that way we can turn them on and off at different times. Okay? In the top right, again, this is already set up for you, but I have labeled the arm motor, the one that lifts the arm of your robot up and down. That is in port number 3, and it's called arm. The motor that opens and closes the claw is in port 4. And then the motors in port 6 and 10 are the left and right wheels. Again, how we can actually make the robot drive forward. These are already set up for you, and if you had more motors on your robot, you can add them in. Next, we are ready to get started on writing our first challenge. I'm going to do the first challenge or 2 with you, and then I'll leave you level 3 to complete on your own. But level 1 is asking us to program the robot to drive forward for 2 squares. Now, you should see on the playground in the middle of the classroom, the squares and the walls and everything set up. You can feel free to go over and test out your robot as many times as you need. But if we need to drive forward for 2 squares, my helpful hint is telling me that each square of the playground is 12 inches long. So let's go over to the coding program and do level 1. On the left side, where I have all of my commands, there are hundreds of these in here. We are never going to use all of them. You can create your own. There's all sorts of stuff. We're going to start out just in these darker blue drivetrain commands. Now, what we're able to do is bring in our command. This is drive forward for 200 millimeters. That's the default. But like I said, we can change these values to whatever you need to be. So my helpful hints told me that each square was 12 inches. So 2 squares is what we want to drive. Well, 12 times 2 would be 24. You can click right in the white bubble and change that. And then this little drop-down menu can let you change the inches. Okay, and this is all I need for my program to tell my robot to drive forward for 2 squares, or 24 inches. Obviously, the longer the program, the harder the challenge is, and you would just build off of this and kind of create a chain of commands. Now, let's pretend that we're ready to test level 1. Okay, what I would like you to do before anything else is come up to the top middle, and I need you to rename this program something for you, so we know it's your program. Okay, I'm going to name mine Olmsted, just so I know it's mine, and you can hit save. Next, I've given you a wire to go along with your robot. You need to plug one end of that wire into your Chromebook, and the other end of the wire can be plugged into the port shown in the picture on your screen. And this will allow us to connect the robot, and you just got to make sure you turn on the screen and the robot using the check mark on the back of the bot. Next, to set it up, you are going to need to come to the top right of your screen. I'm circling it right now. And you're going to click on the word brain. And that thing in the back of the robot is its brain, where we're storing all of the knowledge and program that we write. We can hit connect. We can hit continue. You're always going to want to choose the top option here because that's the one that's already paired. And then we can hit connect. And now you're going to see that brain turn from white to green. When it's green, it means you're good to go. You are all connected. Last but not least, this is the easy part. We have our code written. We are connected to the brain. All I need to do in the top right is hit download. Take a couple seconds. And now you will see on your robot, your program with the name, in my case, Olmsted, and whatever you name yours, it will appear on your robot, and it is ready to test out. Okay, to test out that robot, you just need to hit the check mark, and it will play your code. And if you need to make changes, we go back and make those. And if you complete it correctly, then you're good to move on to level 2. So this is the correct code for level 1. So I'm going to drag and drop it to the left to delete it. You can also delete it by clicking on it and hitting the backspace button on your keyboard. Now, let's really quickly do level 2 together, and then you should be set really for the rest of these challenges. Okay, level 2, program the robot to drive forward 2 squares, which you already know how to do, turn around, and then drive back those 2 squares to where it started. So this is now going to be in 3 steps instead of just 1. Go back over to my VEX EXP program. I'm going to drag in my drive forward for 200 millimeters and change that to 24 inches again. To turn around, we're going to want to bring in this turn right for 90 degrees. But instead of turning just 90, to turn it a full all the way around, we need to go 180 degrees. And then the easy part of driving back to the start is that same exact command of driving forward for 24 inches. And now what this will do is your robot will drive out 2 inches. It will come to a stop. It will turn around to face back towards you and then drive back those 2 feet. And that should be the perfect code for level 2. Okay, level 3, the same thing, except you're programmed to drive in a square, not just in a straight line. So that would just take more of these driving forward and turning right and left commands for you to play around with. And the last thing I want to show you before I let you get started on the challenges is some of these commands are very similar. Okay, my drive forward here looks pretty identical to this one that says drive forward. Same thing with my turning right for 90 degrees, looks pretty identical to the turn right. Now, the difference here is that we have these white bubbles, and you want to use the commands that have the white bubbles. If I were to just bring in this drive forward with no set distance, my robot would drive forward and go forward and keep going forward until it hits a wall or falls off the table. We don't want that. Same thing with the turning right. This would just cause the robot to spin in a circle, turning right until you hit stop. So we really want to make sure whatever commands we bring in the ones with these white bubbles so we can edit them. In the next couple of challenges, you will use some more commands on the left, including some of these repeat commands, as well as adding on to much more of the driving forward and turning right and left. And lastly, one fun one to play around with is these sounds. Okay, you can get the robot to play all sorts of noises. You can do music notes and program a song, and really play around with whatever you want. So at this point, I think you are ready to get started on level 3. Obviously, each coding challenge that we complete will get a little bit harder as they build on each other. And if you have any specific questions about a challenge, please feel free to call me over and I'd be happy to help you out. Otherwise, good luck and thanks for watching.